Reagan Hicks. I'm first going to ask you some simple background questions. These questions might jog some memories, but please keep your answers brief. We can go into more detail later in the interview. Please say and spell your name.
Annette Douglas. ANNETTEDOUGLAS.
What is your date of birth, including the year?
August the 10th, 1958.
How would you describe your ethnic background?
African American.
What is your religion, if any?
Christian.
What is the highest level of formal education you have completed? Did you attend any additional school or formal career training beyond that?
I finished the 12th grade, and no, I did not go to after that.
Are you married? If so, are they still living?
Yes. Yes, I'm married, and yes, they're still living.
Do you have any children? If so, how many?
I have 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl.
What was your primary occupation? Were you ever paid for work out of the home? For how long?
Yes, for 30 years, 32 years.
At what age did you retire?
At 57.
What was your family like when you were a child?
I grew up with 7 sisters and 2 brothers, and I was the oldest of everyone.
What sort of work did your parents do?
My mom was a housekeeper for the hotel.
What is your earliest memory?
I can remember when on Fridays when my mom got off work, she used to always give us 50 cents to go to the store. And we would go to this barbecue place called Hickory Pick, and we would buy barbecue chicken necks.
Were there any special days, events, or family traditions you remember from your childhood?
No, but Christmas. I used to love to have Christmas because my mom used to always go out and buy us a lot of toys.
Which holidays did your family celebrate?
We celebrate all the holidays.
How are holidays traditionally celebrated in your family?
Well, we all come together and we enjoy each other and laugh and talk with one another.
Has your family created its own traditions and celebrations?
Yes, my daughter has one tradition that she calls Family Appreciation Day.
What was the highest grade you completed?
12th grade.
Did you play any sports or join any other activities outside of school?
No.
What about your school experience is different from school as you know it today?
My school experience was that the teachers were able to discipline the child when we get out of order. Today, they do not allow that.
Did your family have any special savings or expressions during this time?
No.
Were there any changes in your family life during the school years?
No.
When thinking back on your school years, what important social or historical events were taking place at that time? And how did they personally affect you and your family?
Back in that time, I think that's when they killed Dr. Martin Luther King, and they began to riot through the neighborhood, and that kept us from going outside to play.
during the era of segregation. Can you speak about that? Was your school segregated? Was the elementary school near your home? Was there a high school for black students in the same area? How did you get to school? Who were the teachers? Were there restaurants or eating places for black people where you lived? How were black visitors accommodated?
Yes, we walked to school. The elementary school was right across the street from our house. The high school was like 6 blocks down from our house. And yes, we had black owned restaurants in our neighborhood.
Okay. This set of questions covers a fairly long period of your life from the time you completed your education, started working, or started a family, until all of your children left home and you or your partner's spouse retired. So we might be talking about a stretch of time spanning as much as 4 decades. After you finished high school, where did you live? Did you remain there or did you move around through your adult life? If you moved, what was the reason for these moves?
Because I became an adult and I moved out of my mom's house into my own house.
I'd like you to tell me a little about your married and family life. First, tell me about your spouse. Where did you meet? Tell me what it was like when you were dating. If you were married, what was your engagement and wedding like?
Well, I met my spouse at a curtain factory where we both worked at, and we got married. We had 2 kids. I liked it being married, and I liked it being a mom. So, and we lived in Indiana.
Tell me about your children and what life was like when they were young and living in your home. What did your family enjoy doing together when your kids were still at home? What were your personal favorite things to do for fun? Are there any special days, events, or family traditions you practiced that differed from your childhood traditions?
Yes. Well, with me growing up, my mom never took us out on outings. But me with my children, I took them out. We went out every Saturday and Sunday on family outings together.
Okay. This set of questions covers a fairly long period of your life from the time you entered the labor force or started a family up to the present time. What was your main field of employment? How did you first get started with this tradition, skill, or job? What got you interested?
I got interested in working after I got out of high school because I wanted my own apartment, and I knew that I had to have money to do that. So I went out and I found a job in retail.
Okay. What was the typical day like during the working years of your adult life?
Some days it would be hard, and then some days it would be easy. I liked it working. I just liked it having my own money.
Okay. What is the biggest difference in your main field of employment from the time you started until now?
Well, when I started out, I was working for the money. But began to be, as I began to grow and get older, I began to wanted to stay in my field because of the servicing to other people. I like to be a servant to other people.
What do you value most about what you did for a living and why?
Well, I value working in retail because I liked it to communicate with people and I liked it to meet new people and learn different things about different culture of people.
How did your life change when you and your partner retired
Well,
and all the children left home?
Well, my children grew up, they left, they got married, and they had their children, and that's what's changed my life, me being a grandmother.
When thinking back on your working adult life, what important social or historical events were taking place at that time? And how did they personally affect you and your family?
I think that would be far as minimum wages wasn't enough money to survive on, and they were trying to pass laws to bring minimum wages up so people can afford to live a decent life.
Tell me how it is for you to live in this community.
Well, the community that I live in is very nice, very quiet. Only been there in that community 5 years. I haven't had any problems or anything. So I think it's great.
When thinking back on your entire life, what important social, historical events had the greatest impact?
But thinking back over the greatest impact to my life was when my daughter and my son started having my grandkids. That's a big impact for me.
When thinking back over your entire life, what are you most proud of?
My grandchildren.
What would you say has changed the most from the time you were a young person to now?
The generation of the children. We're living in a different generation now from when I was a child.
What advice would you give the younger generation?
I would give the young people advice on about respecting their parents and not always trying to talk back, and to let them know that you don't have to have the last word every time somebody says something.
Okay.
That's it.